Hey guys, Jake Lundahl here with Lundahl Performance. I'm excited to bring you another Q&A video. Our special thanks goes out to Britta for allowing us to use clips of her horse for this project. So to kind of set things up briefly, what you're going to see is 3 separate clips in the video, and Britta's turning this horse around a little bit more gathered up, as well as on a loose rein, just to kind of see how he is and see what happens. And first impressions of this horse, he's obviously a good looking colt, and clearly she's done a lot of work with him. Like, this horse is very mentally dialed in. He knows the game. He's not looking to leave the turn. Everything on the mental side is good, but he's just got a couple things going in his body that are kind of throwing him off balance and throwing him out of position a little bit. The first thing you'll see in the first clip is he kind of loses those hips to the outside just a tad. He kind of pops his hip out of the turn and starts swapping ends just for a second, then kind of catches himself and brings things back into line. So that's a minor issue. The bigger problem, and it's not terrible, it's not the worst that we've seen by any means, but it's severe enough that it's throwing him out of balance, throwing him out of position, and making it difficult for him to step around clean. And that's him bowing his ribcage to the outside. The best tell on that, if you're watching this video, is watch as the horse is turning when the horse's hips are facing the camera, and look at the outside of his body. You'll see that ribcage bowing to the outside, and so that's kind of throwing everything out of whack. So in order to correct that, I think the best course of action at this stage would be to, instead of staying in the turnaround, going around and around and kicking on him, trying to bring those ribs into line, I think you're better off driving him forward out of the turn and almost kind of doing a turn outside the turn, so to speak. You're not just walking a circle forward, but you're not doing an actual turnaround either. You're using that outside leg, you're driving the horse forward and around in a tight circle, but you're making that body be straight, using that outside leg to drive that rib cage back in a line and bring it back up underneath you while maintaining forward motion. And here's the other key for this horse: engage those shoulders a little bit better. We'd like to see him put a little more effort into taking a more exaggerated crossover step with that outside front foot. And so driving him forward and around like that and using that outside leg will give you an opportunity to make a big point of that. Get him to step over a little bit more dramatically and take a bigger crossover step. Once you've got his body in line and you've got his front end engaged a little bit more, then you can take him back down into the turnaround. And I'd give him a little leeway for like 3 or 4 revolutions. And if he's really bowing his ribs to the outside and you can't get it cleaned up in the turn, you know, after 3 or 4 spins, drive him out of it, drive him forward and around, get everything set back up, and bring him back down into the turn again. So I'd give him a chance to correct himself while he's in the turn, but if it's just too much of an issue, things are falling apart too much, drive him out of it, set everything back up, and then take him in again. Rinse and repeat until you can consistently get a few good steps in the spin, then stop and reward him. Just get a couple good steps to start off with, or ones that are much better at least. Find a starting point and build from there.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So as you can see here, she's turning it one-handed, and obviously this horse knows its job. She's done a lot of work with him, and so he's taken responsibility for staying in that turn himself. Like, notice that inside front foot, how it kind of steps back into the side. So that tells me right away that if she can do that on a loose rein and he steps that way, that she's done a lot of work on teaching this horse to be mentally responsible himself in the turn. So the problem isn't so much there as it is in the rib cage. Watch when this horse's hip is to the camera and his head is away. See how that rib cage is kind of hung to the outside of that spin? So I really think that if outside the turn, especially to begin with, if she works on getting him straightened up through that rib cage, getting that rib cage off that outside leg, if she can straighten up his body there, it'll put him in a much more athletic position and make it so much easier for this horse to turn more efficiently. If she gets that done, I think this horse will step around real pretty.